All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? We are with you for the next 3 hours. April Fool's Day, but we're actually in studio. That's not a joke. We haven't been together in studio for the better part of the last month.
For the first 5 minutes here before we got on the air, you look like a chicken with your head cut off.
I forgot how to do everything.
What you were doing.
I'm like, where do I plug my headphones in, and what's the name of the show, and what are we talking
You're
about?
like, how do I? My computer has no internet.
What's this show about? San Diego sports?
Huh? Yeah.
All right.
It happens when you don't have a show for it's basically been like 2 weeks for you.
Well, let's be fair. First of all, I set up my equipment from my hotel room in Boston Wednesday night.
What I meant was it's been like 2 weeks for you where you have
it's been like irregular.
Yeah, regular.
It's been crazy. And now we're back to, baseball season's underway. Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio, will join us at 4 on the Padres start and the NL West. Jeff Smith, Mesa Foundation. This is a really fascinating conversation as the Aztecs begin their offseason. What type of NIL resources do they have as they attack the transfer portal? We'll talk to Jeff Smith coming up at 5:30. Now, I know you were briefly on Friday, but we had NCAA tournament action beginning, I think, around 4 p.m. Let me just say this about San Diego State, and I want to hear from Brian Dutcher after the loss to UConn on Thursday. This is just my 2 cents. I think losing in the manner in which they lost to UConn on Thursday takes nothing away from what they accomplished this year. I'm talking about San Diego State. I think UConn's historically good. We'll see what they do between now and next Monday, if they are crowned back-to-back defending national champs or not. But the manner in which they are winning is truly incredible, and I don't think it takes anything away from San Diego State. I mean, the Aztecs have been in 4 Sweet 16 gyms, as you know. They've never been in back-to-back until this year. I mean, UConn's historically good, and San Diego State had a really good season. I think both things can be true. Here was Brian Dutcher, if you missed it, Thursday night, putting things in perspective as San Diego State's season ends in the Sweet 16.
With that being said, I want to say it's not the ending we're going to remember. It's the journey, because the journey's everything, and we've been on an incredible journey together. I take great joy here tonight with these 3 guys sitting next to me. The fact that they're 7-2 on college basketball's biggest stage over the last 2 years is something to take great pride in. And so I said, if losing a basketball game is the worst thing that's going to happen in your life, you're going to have a fantastic life.
The benefit of perspective. So, yeah, San Diego State loses by 30 to UConn, and then you watch this weekend in Tennessee. Who did they even play?
They played Illinois.
I'm an idiot. They played a team with orange. They allow a 30-0 run, Illinois, to UConn in a very similar win. They ended up winning by 25. So San Diego State's season is over. It's transfer portal season. It's the offseason. But again, Sweet 16, they've done it 4 times. I thought it was a darn good year, and I think it should be celebrated. And the banner's going to go up into Viejas next November.
Yep. I talked about it on Friday.
I didn't listen.
I know you didn't listen. And it was...
Actually, didn't I join you?
No, you did not Friday. No.
Yeah.
Friday was a very quick show. But losing the game to UConn, I'm not even going to remember that game really. It's one of those games of course you'd want the outcome of that game to be different, but it doesn't take away anything from what they've done the last 2 years. And the Illinois game that it almost makes it puts it in perspective. I don't want to hear anybody talking about how bad that loss was for San Diego State versus UConn, because guess what? UConn's doing that to everybody.
Northwestern, Illinois, San Diego State, probably first round opponent.
And they'll probably do it to Alabama or NC State and Purdue, whoever they face in the national championship game.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it seems as if this was the talk heading into the game. We talked about it. Is UConn better than a national championship team from a year prior that won every game by double figures? And maybe they are, but San Diego State last year was 32-7. The Aztecs this year went 26-11. What's the math on that? They're 58-18 with a national championship game appearance and 2 Sweet 16s. That's hard to do anywhere, any level of college basketball. And that's what the Aztecs just did. Now, I think as you turn the page, and this stuff happens so quickly, Jim, and we'll talk about it with Jeff Smith coming up, what happens now? Jane Ledee had one of the greatest seasons in the history of the program. He's gone. He's out of eligibility, as are a couple of other Aztecs. Jay Powell, Darion Trammell, one of the great Aztecs last year in the run, of course, was Darion. But you have Lamont Butler's got a year of eligibility. You have Micah Parrish, who has a year of eligibility. And then you have other players up and down your roster as well, and we'll see what they do in the portal. But what happens now for San Diego State? And I think first and foremost with Lamont Butler, who is one of the Aztec legends, and will he be back for a 5th year or not?
Yeah, said Friday that like this program is going to go through a lot of changes, but you believe in Dutch and you believe in his recruiting and you believe in the NIL, or not the NIL, the transfer portal, because he's done a fantastic job with that. And it's going to be different, and it might take a little bit to get back to another Sweet 16 or get back to a level where you're dominating the Mountain West Conference, but you believe in Dutch because he's proven that he can do that before. And it could happen as early as next year or not, but you have the pieces in place, and you're confident with what Dutch has done here.
Jeff Smith, Mesa Foundation at 5:30. Mike Faren at MLB Network Radio on the first week of the baseball season. He will join us coming up at 4 p.m. I'll be honest with you. I've been pleasantly surprised by the 3-3 Padres. I just have in watching them. I mean, I'm not jumping for joy at their 3-3 start, but I am jumping for joy at the simple fact that they look competent on offense. Kevin Acee had this amazing stat yesterday in the UT. They didn't have a 4-run inning last year until their 28th game. They didn't have a 5-run inning until their 54th game. They've had 3 5-run innings and 3 4-run innings already. What has gotten in to the Padres offense? Again, 3-3, we're not going to start the parade route as of yet, but the Padres offense is night and day better than it was a year ago to start the year.
The number one thing to look at to start this season for me was how they do with runners in scoring position. And they've been fantastic.
Do you know what they're hitting?
I think
388.
380. I knew it was like 380 something. Okay, 388. That's incredible. It's small sample size.
They
right?
should keep it up for the whole season.
Yeah, you hit 388 with runners in scoring position for the entire season. You'll probably lead the league in runs scored.
Yeah.
or around that mark. But the start of last year, it was such a struggle. Such a struggle. Just they opened on opening day last year going 0 for 10 versus the Rockies. And it just, they can never get it going with runners in scoring position. It was like pulling teeth anytime there was a runner on second. Not the case so far this year. It's not the case so far at all. And I think there's 2 players really in this lineup that you can point to as making a big difference, because these 2 players, there was a question mark with these 2 players. Like if these 2 guys can hit and they can produce, then this lineup could be pretty good. And that's Jay Cronenworth, and to a lesser extent, it's Luis Campusano. I think those 2 guys so far, especially Jake Cronenworth. Jake Cronenworth, by far and away, has been the biggest surprise early on this season, just because you're in the 3 spot. You're in, a very important position in the lineup where you have to produce, because if you do not produce, that's a major problem. And then Luis Campusano, off his year last year, where he was really good offensively, but it was also, again, kind of small sample size, backing that up. And when he's not in the lineup, like you saw on Saturday, it's just, it's completely different. Because you have at the top of your order, Jake Cronenworth in the 3-hole producing and hitting the ball extremely hard. And then you have Luis Campusano towards the bottom half of your lineup also producing. So you have 2 guys, one at the top, one at the bottom. They're both producing. And I think those 2 are a big reason why they are where they are as far as runners in scoring position and scoring all these runs.
I'll give you another name that we were really hard on a year ago, and they may have reached for in free agency, and that's Xander Bogaerts.
We also did start last year really well.
True, but I would just say this. In terms of them getting off to the start, he has been penciled in at the top of the lineup, and he has been getting on base. Now, this is something he did last year in April and September and struggled in the middle of the year. But I'm just saying, in general, Xander Bogaerts with that contract this year has to be a guy. Like, he can't replicate what he did a year ago, and I don't know if he's going to. Here's the thing with all these guys, whether it's Campusano, Cronenworth, Bogaerts, whomever, it's 6 games. So, you have to be careful, obviously, not to get carried away. But I'm just telling you, and to me, it's more cautious optimism. We all watched last year. It was pulling teeth with the offense almost all year long for whatever reason. And now, for whatever reason, it hasn't been that way. I thought the bottom of this lineup was really going to struggle. And again, small sample size, but that has not been the case. So it's 1 through 9 stuff right now. For whatever reason, it's working like this. It's not like they're playing bottom feeders. They've played good teams. They'll play a relatively good team, you would think, this week in St. Louis. And let's just Hope it continues for the Padres offense. The pitching's going to be fine. The starting pitching should be good. If the offense is good, then you got all of a sudden, a playoff contender in your hands.
Yeah, I'm not overly worried about the bullpen right now. I'm not worried about the starting pitching right now. The one part of this team that I am worried about that could be a problem is when guys get days off, you have one of the worst benches in all of baseball. And you saw it on Saturday when you had Kyle Higashioka in there, you had Eddie Rosario in there, you have Tyler Wade. I mean, it's just you have Jose Azocar. That's not a good enough bench at all. It's just not. Their best lineup is the lineup they have out there today with the players they currently have on this team. But when you start mixing and matching, and if there's an injury somewhere with a major guy or whatever the case may be, you're going to a bench that's just not good enough. And that's why I continue to sit here and say, why not sign Tommy Pham? It's not going to cost you a lot. If you truly do feel, and maybe it's going to take some time before they truly do feel a certain way about this team or not. But from everything that we've heard, it feels like they feel pretty good about this roster. So why not go out, and they made this trade for Dylan Cease, so that kind of actions speak louder than words there. So why not go out there and improve this bench and improve this lineup with Tommy Pham? Because if you get Tommy Pham, there you go. It improves not only your everyday lineup, but also improves your bench as well.
I think my first order of business, and I agree with you, it'll be interesting to see if they address like the unfinished business of the roster, which is seemingly potentially left field. I mean, last year you had Juan Soto in left field. Right now you have, who knows? You have Jurickson Profile.
Fine. He's been fine though.
But over 162.
Yeah.
You could upgrade there. But I would just say this. If Campusano is going to produce, if he's going to be a top flight hitting catcher, then his bat's got to be in there.
Oh,
now,
dude.
Here's the issue, though.
Can't catch him.
You can't catch him every day, obviously. And catching a lot of games in the big leagues now is like 110. And I don't even think he's going to catch 110 games. So they need to find a way. If he is hitting, then he's got to be catching and he's got to be DHing. He's got to be in the lineup. I'm not saying it makes up for left field, but if this is an elite hitting catcher, again, jury's out. Yeah. But look at his numbers a year ago. When he was healthy, he was very good. His catching numbers or his productivity as a hitter from the catching spot has been very good in his career. If that continues to be the case, his bat has to be in the lineup.
Has to be in the lineup. Problem is, when you have Manny Machado, who can't play third base right now, or at least they're kind of easing him into that, you're not taking Manny out of the lineup.
No, of course not. I'm not advocating for that.
No, and you're not putting Campusano anywhere else but DH. You're not putting him at first or whatever. It's just he's a catcher.
But I
am
am advocating for him DHing once Manny Machado is in the field, I guess.
Oh, I am too. If they don't make any more moves, if they don't sign Tommy Pham, or if they don't get anybody else, right? Like I get that, and I'm 100% on board with that. Campusano has to be in this lineup as much as possible, because with him in the lineup towards the bottom of your order, you feel good. You don't feel like it's kind of this like automatic out wasteland once you get past Ha-Seong Kim.
I know yesterday they're facing a guy that hadn't pitched in the big leagues in like 2 years, but guess what? The same thing happened a year ago or 2 years ago. They're facing a guy making his first ever major league start. They get no hit in Arizona. Last year, they're facing guys with 7 and 8 ERAs. They're scoring 1 run in 6 innings. Yesterday, they capitalized, and they score all these runs in the first couple of innings. And I don't know what it's going to mean for 162, but I feel like it's going to mean something is my point. Like, it doesn't seem like this is all fool's gold mirage. They're going to return to their old ways. They won't be able to hit with men in scoring position. Jake Cronenworth is going to regress. Xander Bogaerts is going to regress. Doesn't it feel like there's something real here, even though it's only been 6 games? Do you think we're being fooled by what we've seen from the offense so far? Or do you think this is more of who they're going to be as opposed to the offense we saw last year?
I think that
it's maybe in between.
Like I want to say it's better, but it's just so hard to like definitively say that at this point in time. From what we've seen, it's been better. Like, no question about it. The first 6 games of this season has been way better than the first 6 games of last season. Not even a question about that.
Right.
But then when you start getting to like the grind of the season, and then you get to the unforeseen things that a season brings, which are like the injuries.
You're right.
Then how is this team going to respond, and how is this team going to perform? Because right now it feels like everything is really good. There's everybody's healthy, everybody's in there, and there's a couple instances where you're like, why is Grant Pauly not in this lineup? And then he's now in the lineup, so you're like, okay, that's good. And then maybe a couple bullpen decisions, you're like, why is that guy out there? And then it's like, but they get the split. They're 3-3. They've been scoring a lot of runs. The pitching, it's even though their ERA is in like the 6s right now as a team, I'm not overly worried about that. The only part of this team right now that I'm worried about is, obviously like the bench, the depth of this team, and then still the young guys. Like, I said it last week. They're on an adrenaline high right now. This is the part of their season where you're just going off full adrenaline. Everything is great, but once you get into a part of the season where you're like really struggling, because it happens to everybody, they're not like immune to it. How are they going to perform then? And how is that going to shape the rest of the season?
How about Mike Schild managing against the team he previously managed tonight? Remember, they had a philosophical difference or philosophical differences. That's kind of like, what is that when you get divorced? They're like irreconcilable differences or whatever, right, Brent?
Sure.
So it just felt like we've never gotten the full story there. What happened with the Cardinals and Mike Schild? And then remember, he didn't interview for another job until he was offered, essentially, the Padres job heading into 2024 after the Melvin fallout. It's kind of interesting, these first couple of series, is it not? Dodgers with Ohtani Gate, then it's just Padres-Dodgers. Second series, Bob Melvin returning, Blake Snell returning. This series, Mike Schild managing against the team he used to manage. Cardinals 1-3 at Dodger Stadium. No real shame in that. The first 4 games of the season. We said winning homestand would be nice. We asked for a better start this year than last year. They're 2-2 on this homestand. If they can win 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals, I think Padres fans would feel pretty good about the start of the year.
I would be very encouraged and happy if they get 2 or 3 here versus the Cardinals. But if you lose 2 or 3,
season is over.
No, the season's not over. It's just trade everybody.
Right.
No, it would be disappointing. We are not at any point in the season saying it's early. It's fine. It's okay. Because one thing that you could see from this weekend, this has nothing to do with the San Diego Padres. The Giants are going to be maybe a little bit of a problem because the division is stacked.
It's very good, yeah.
And the race for the 3 wild card spots in the National League could be a pretty large group of teams.
And it could be better than the race a year ago where 84 wins got in. What if the National League this year is the American League last year, where it took 89 games to get to the postseason?
And the Giants are absolutely one of those teams in the mix because they don't even have Blake Snell or Alex Cobb or Robbie Ray back yet.
Right, they have to be better.
They have to be better if they stay. And health is ultimately into stuff, right? And we don't know what the Cardinals are going to be. I know they lost, 2 or 3 or 3 or 4, 3 or 4 to the Dodgers, but a lot of teams are going to lose 3 or 4 to the Dodgers in LA. Howard, they have a new pitcher, Kyle Gibson, starting for them tonight.
Yep.
The Cubs, how are they going to be this year? Are they going to be a team that's only vying for a division, or could they be a team that, if another team like the Cardinals or the Reds, right, are they going to be vying for a wild card spot? There's just so many teams I feel like in the National League. As of this moment in time, things are going to change. I know that I can say, yeah, that could be a wild card team, or yeah, that could be a wild card team. And the Padres and the Giants, those are 2 teams where I'm like, yeah, those could be wild card teams. And that's why these games early on in the season could mean something.
I will say this. I'm with you. I'm not going to say it's early, but I'm also going to, if I see things that I think are going to be good long-term, I'm going to point them out. For example, the 388 batting average with men in scoring position, or the 3 4-run innings and 3 5-run innings. Yeah. If this continues and they middle along and they're 9-9, but they keep hitting, I'm be like, listen, eventually this thing is going to get going. You don't have 4 or 5-run innings a lot and then not win a lot of games. You don't hit 350 with men in scoring position and not win a lot of games. That's what I like. The wins and the losses, you can't get carried away yet. I mean, it's the 1st of April. If they're 4-4 as opposed to 5-3, nobody has made anything of their season. But what does matter is the way in which they're playing. And the way in which they're playing so far has been good through 6 games.
Because what we saw last year is this team couldn't hit with runners in scoring position at all.
At all. Historically bad.
And guess what? It caught up to them and bit them in the ass in August when they were one of the worst teams in baseball and they could not recover. And September was just, get through the season and they happened to get hot and it didn't matter. So, yeah, if these things can keep up, it's hard to say they're going to keep up a 388 batting average runner in scoring position, but so far, definitely so good.
Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio, on looming free agents still as the season starts, plus the state of the NL West and the Padres. He will join us coming up at 4 p.m. Also, an alternate universe, the Padres look like what in 2024? Fascinating words from Scott Boras this weekend. We'll share with you on the other side. We're just underway. Stay with us. It's Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. I'm telling you right now, the biggest lifesaver for me over the last 3 weeks with all the travel and the shows and being on the go has been these Almond RX packs. I've had at least one a day throughout the course of the month of March. It is healthy and it is tasty and it curbs hunger, and you can eliminate the vending machine from your day and get your daily dose of vitamin D. Everyone loves a healthy snack. My wife was just telling me how much she loves these. My son Jones had a pack of them on his way to preschool this morning. So it's healthy, it's tasty, it curbs hunger. Look no further than Almond RX, the first and only skinless almond fortified with vitamin D, founded by a San Diego sports medicine physician. Almond RX has all the nutrients and antioxidants you could want, supporting your heart health, cellular health, gut health as well. You can find Almond RX packs at any Foodland in San Diego County, Harvest Ranch in Encinitas, or at almondrx.com. That's ALMONDRX.com. In fact, if you go there right now, you're going to get free shipping on orders over $25 at almondrx.com. Perfect for the on-the-go lifestyle. Trust me, healthy, tasty, delicious, curbs hunger. Go there right now, almondrx.com. Free shipping on orders over $25.
It's no good. No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, they split the series with the Giants over the weekend. They won 13-4 yesterday, scoring 12 runs in the first 3 innings. They haven't done that since 2011. Padres versus the Cardinals, 6:40 first pitch tonight. Matt Waldron makes his debut for the Padres tonight versus Kyle Gibson for the Cardinals. And the final 4 is set. It'll be UConn, Alabama, Purdue, and NC State. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples.
By the way, I think we have a great giveaway today. Tickets to see Neil Young at Crazy Horse. That is coming up this April, Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. We have a pair of tickets to see Neil Young and Crazy Horse at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. Be listening for that in the 4 o'clock hour. Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio, great voice on all things baseball, will join us at 4. Jeff Smith on the Aztecs offseason and the role that NIL will play. He's the Mesa Foundation president. He'll join us coming up at 5:30. I was very surprised to see these quotes from Scott Boras related to Juan Soto. Okay, this is from Alden Gonzalez, ESPN. From Scott Boras, I only know everything that Peter said to me. Peter Seidler always said to me that Juan Soto will be on his team. He said it to me 50 times. Juan Soto will be on my team. This, of course, before the untimely passing of Peter Seidler. We know the rest is history. The American League Player of the Week this week is Juan Soto. He tore the cover off the ball in a 4-game series for the Yankees. We were led down a path, Jim, that he was always going to be traded. Even if Seidler was still the owner, he was still going to be traded. Scott Boras, and he has the text messages to prove it, as you pointed out.
Got the text.
He disputes what we were led to believe, that Soto was always going to be dealt this offseason regardless of ownership changes.
Yeah, I never believed that even
before this. Yeah,
article.
I know you've said that a lot. It's true.
I just don't. I just never saw a scenario where it was like, I don't like Peter. Did he really want to do this?
Right. He's the guy who said like we're not scared. So you can't take $500 million with you or whatever.
Yeah,
he said.
Told Marty, he's like, I like giving out, these long-term contracts, or like
right.
I like spending money.
Right.
I will believe that there was a scenario definitely to keep Juan Soto. We were told all offseason that this team was looking to shave payroll to about $200 million. They're not even close to $200 million.
Right.
They're like at $170 million.
Right. At 30, you're at $200 million. Which is what he makes. I'm saying, right, you're right.
Like that was the whole thing is all we heard was this team is looking to shave payroll down to about $200 million. And they asked Major League Baseball, or they asked for a loan for $100 million to cover the $50 million TV revenue, and then cover the $50 million decrease in the payroll or whatever, because that adds up to $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
And they only got 50. I just look. I see a lot of people. I mean, maybe social media is just stupid, but like, if you are out there and you're a person that thinks Juan Soto's not a good baseball player and you don't want him on either your favorite team or a team that you cover, I have to really question like your baseball knowledge or like your baseball acumen. Because Juan Soto is clearly one of the best players in the game. And you actively traded Juan Soto, actively in a walk year, when Peter's wishes were to keep Juan Soto on this team. And don't tell me you couldn't make it work. You could have made it work. Because guess what? You still would have had Graham Pauley. You still would have had Jackson Merrill. You still could have picked up Jerkson Profar for a 1-year deal for $1 million. You could have
traded for Dylan Cease.
Still traded for Dylan Cease, but it would have cost you probably Lesko or Snelling instead, because you got Drew Thorpe in the deal or whatever. And I think they still could have made that trade. And I think they still would have made that trade. So don't tell me that Johnny Brito, nothing against Johnny Brito or Michael King, but Johnny Brito, Michael King, and Kyle Higashioka are like the saviors here. Like they're good like role pieces to a team, But I'm sorry, I'd rather have Juan Soto on this team if you gave me the option.
Here's the thing. I completely agree with you. Let's see how it plays out. We'll never know what the 2024 Padres look like with Soto, and we'll never know what the 2024 Padres look like without Michael King,
right?
Burrito, Vasquez, etc. You get the point.
Right.
But I will say this. The Soto slander is stupid.
Yep.
And let me explain further as to why. And we talked about this on the wrap-up show. Because everyone would have said the same thing about Manny Machado if he didn't sign the extension and he walked at the end of 2023. They would have said he killed this team. The reason they went 82-80 was because of Machado. I'm glad we have Soto. I'm so glad Machado's not here. I'm glad he's on the Yankees. Good riddance. He tore this team apart. But now that Soto's gone, they're saying that about Soto, and they're not saying about Machado. The truth is, Manny Machado's a great baseball player. Mm-hmm. Not perfect. The truth is, Juan Soto is a great baseball player. Not perfect. You're better off with these players on your roster. Now, we'll see. We don't know if they would have kept Soto beyond 2024. Probably not. And we don't know what 2024 is going to be for the Padres with the deal that they made. But this idea that, hey, we're so much better now because we don't have Juan Soto is like completely unfair and absurdly inaccurate. And if you want to go to your grave with it, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So you're going to be doing it for the next 20 years.
Yeah, those people out there will be like the old man yelling at the clouds. Like, guys, stop it. I know this isn't obviously MLB The Show, so you can't just put a bunch of superstars on a team and expect it to work. There's like real life dynamics.
Exactly.
There's real life egos that are at play. There's just so many things that factor into a clubhouse and your personalities and all of that. And maybe you can make the argument that the team is better off without Juan Soto just from a clubhouse culture standpoint because of these egos and the dynamic and all of that stuff, right? Like Juan Soto's trying to get a big time contract. So maybe that is affecting things and whatnot. And I understand that, and you can make that argument, and I might agree with you on that. But from a just baseball player standpoint, if you're crapping all over Juan Soto, you don't know baseball. You just don't.
Podzilla.
You just don't.
Okay, Podzilla in our chat on YouTube. Find us, by the way. Search for Jon and Jim 760 or listen to us on the free iHeartRadio app or on San Diego Sports 760. He says this. Soto was an outright disappointment. He walked this team to death. In which I reply, yeah, he got on base too often. He was on base too much that the rest of his teammates were unable to pick him up. So it was a problem that he got on base too much. Oh, by the way, I looked this up last night. He had a 1,000 OPS with men in scoring position last year and hit 300 for one of the worst hitting teams in baseball history with men in scoring position. Guys, he wasn't the problem. I'm not saying the clubhouse dynamic was perfect. To your point, maybe it wasn't. Maybe he played a role in that, and probably others did as well.
Yeah.
But like Manny said, not Soto, what is this high school baseball? It's a business of producing, which is what Juan Soto did a year ago.
He was one of the only ones in that lineup that did that. Now, he did have his down moments. It is funny because the first 30 at-bats for the Yankees, he is, tearing the cover off the baseball right now. He has like a 580 batting average with like a 1,400 OPS.
Again, that's also early. That's 4 games, right?
But for the first 30 games last year with the Padres, he hit 130 with like a 560 OPS. Yeah. You're like,
yep,
of course. But overall, Juan Soto was the best offensive player on this Padres team last year, and he was only 24, 25.
Yeah, what is he now? I think he's 25 now, right?
If
he's 25.
All I know is that if we're playing, schoolyard baseball and I get one of the first picks, I'm strongly probably considering Juan Soto as one of my top picks.
Right. This is when you like do the workaround in your head and you're like, you got this great player and you're like, well, this team didn't win the Super Bowl. Like Mahomes didn't win every Super Bowl. Therefore, the Super Bowl Mahomes didn't win. He was the problem. Like, no, Mahomes wasn't the problem.
No.
When the Chiefs didn't win the Super Bowl. I promise you.
Yeah. When Mahomes throws that perfect pass and the wide receiver drops
it's not a Mahomes.
It's not a Mahomes.
Or by the way, if Mahomes has a bad game, okay, he's a human being.
When the kicker misses a kick, are we blaming Mahomes?
Exactly.
Well, probably, but you get my point.
Yeah.
And so this article, and this will probably be one of the last times we actually, no, it won't be the last time we talk about Juan Soto, but
no, I don't think so.
But like, as far as this goes, as far as like,
could have still been
coulda, woulda, shoulda type of thing, like, just because this article dropped on Friday and I didn't see it until after the show and we only had an hour show and seeing it and reading it and like, you're just thinking to yourself, they actively traded one of the best players in baseball. Okay, that is a crazy thing to think about.
And now let's see what happens in 2024.
In a walk year.
We'll see what happens for the Yankees. We'll see what happens for Soto. We'll see what happens for the Padres and the guys they got.
And the money thing, I mean, stop. Like,
yeah, I'm with you.
You didn't quote unquote spend the money you saved on Juan Soto. You actually kept it for yourself. Instead of having a $200 million payroll, you have a $170 million payroll.
All right, on the other side, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. Plus, Mike Faren from MLB Network Radio, great voice on all things baseball, will join us at 4 p.m. Jeff Smith, Mesa Foundation at 5:30. Neil Young tickets. We'll give those away in the 4 o'clock hour. Stay with us. All right, Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio on the Padres start. He'll join us at 4. Plus, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. That's next. catch up with Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio. He'll join us in 12 or 13 minutes. And also in the 4 o'clock hour, again, your chance to win Neil Young tickets, April 25th, South Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. Back with you, Jon and Jim, all week long from San Diego, from our iHeart studios. It's good to be back, man. A lot of travel. I mean, it's been a lot of travel.
Because that's how I feel after a long week, time off. After the pretty much week off that we had the start of the NCAA tournament, coming back on that Monday, it was like, oh, this is weird. Remember?
100%.
And then doing those shows, you're like, this feels different. But we're back, and so you missed Naughty Barrel.
I did.
You missed Blind Burrow.
I did.
Which you're probably happy that you missed that one. And
I love Blind Burrow and I love Naughty Barrel, but we had some connectivity issues that I'm not mad about missing.
But Naughty Barrel, new place that we're going to be at every Friday home game this year. It's a cool spot. I think I've been there maybe one other time before. Food's really good. The atmosphere is really good. Like the place it's like a prime spot, right? Like 2 blocks away from Petco. It's awesome.
By the way, I went through like a 7-day rain experience because it rained every single day in Spokane because it's Spokane.
Yeah.
It rained every single day in Boston because it's Boston. And then it rained this weekend. I actually, on a whim, I couldn't stay away from this darn tournament. On a whim, because tickets were like $1. I went to the Elite Eight at Staples between Alabama and Clemson.
Yeah,
I just can't stay away. And it was a pretty good game. And it was raining on that whole drive too. So it's nice to have a beautiful day, by the way, back here in San Diego. All right, Mike Faren's going to join us coming up in about 10 minutes. Right now, let's get to this.
All right, I'll start. UConn back in the Final Four for back-to-back seasons, looking to win back-to-back national championships. And I think a lot of people thought that Illinois, it would actually be a decent game versus Illinois. They had one of the top scorers in the nation. He was only held to 8 points, by the way, in that game, which is crazy.
Terrence Shannon?
He had only 8 points in that game.
It was a good game for a half.
It was a good game. I think it was
like a lot like San Diego State.
Yeah, 28-23 at halftime. But UConn went on a 30-0 run in that game from the end of the first half, leading into the second half. They went on a 30-0 run. Is that good?
Dude, Illinois went over 50 real minutes without a point, not even a free throw. All right, speaking of UConn, I mean, to kind of hammer this point home, everyone already understands it. I mean, they were historically good last year with all double-digit wins in the NCAA tournament. This year, even better, they have outscored 4 opponents by 111 points, an average of 28 points per game for the Connecticut Huskies. Is that good?
It is good!
I talked about in the start of the show today as a reason why the Padres offense has looked much better this year, and it's Jake Cronenworth. He last year was just really bad for him. His contract's starting up here, and you're thinking to yourself, like, oh my God, is this going to be another really bad contract by AJ Preller? Still could be, but so far, so good for Jake Cronenworth. He's hitting .375. He has 9 RBIs, a 990
he has
OPS.
9 RBIs.
9 RBIs, a 990 OPS, and he has a 5-game hitting streak so far. Out of 6 games, he's hitting 5 of them. Is that good?
Did he have 9 RBIs last year? I mean, that's a good start.
Sorry, my bad. 7 RBIs.
Okay, still a good start.
Still very good
start. To further home that point, we've talked about this. The Padres, as a team, through 6 games, they've had plenty of opportunities with men in scoring position. They are hitting .388 as a team. Remember, this was a historically bad team with men in scoring position like through August or July of last year. A very different start at .388 so far. Is that good?
And finally for me, this baseball player's hitting .529. He has a home run, 4 RBIs. His OPS is 1365. His team is 4-0 on the year.
Austin Hedges.
That'd be Juan Soto. Is that good?
Rhys
Brent?
Hoskins.
Is that good?
American League Player of the Week. Yankees 4-0, trying to go to 5-0 for the first time since 1992. For the New York Yankees. I'll give you my final. Is that good? 1 year ago tonight, Butler at the buzzer in Houston, the only buzzer beater for a team trailing in the history of the Final Four. Was that good?
It is gone.
1 year ago.
It's felt like a long time since a year ago. This time, yeah.
Well, at this exact time, the game was
April.
going on.
I just got engaged like a couple weeks prior, like a month actually, a little less than
You've
that.
been engaged for like 2 years?
Been engaged for a
Oh,
year.
1 year. Yeah.
And I'm getting married in less than 2 months now.
Finally.
Finally.
This engagement, like what's a record?
The Rock. Oh, wait.
Like
what?
what's
Wrong
a
sport.
long engagement? Over a year? Or
Oh,
would a
yeah.
long engagement be 2 years?
We went very quickly here.
What?
I had a ring after 4 months. I proposed after 7 and a
Okay,
half.
that's true. I see what you're saying.
And we've only been together for not even 2 years yet. And we're getting married.
But if you know,
May.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
If you know, you know. And I knew, she knew.
Like, is Aaron finding anything new out about you, like as the days pass? Like, I didn't know you have a brother. Like, I didn't know you're from wherever. No?
No.
You've gotten past that phase?
There's nothing
new?
There's literally nothing new. No.
You haven't learned anything about Aaron?
Like,
I didn't know you grew up with a dog.
No. Maybe like little quirks here and there, but those are nothing.
Oh, yeah, nothing.
They're nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
All right, Mike Faren will join us on the other side. Great baseball voice from MLB Network Radio. Is Tommy Pham going to sign Willie with the Padres? What does he make of the Padres' fast start, at least offensively, here to the year? Mike Faren will join us in about 10 minutes at 4:05. Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio. Also, next hour, in the 4 p.m. hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Neil Young and Crazy Horse, April 25th, Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. Be listening for your chance to win those tickets. But Mike Faren will kick off hour 2 of Jon and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, Cardinals start a 3-game series tonight at Petco Park. 6:40 first pitch there. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres versus Kyle Gibson of the Cardinals. And the Final Four is set for this upcoming weekend. It'll be UConn, Alabama, Purdue, and NC State in Arizona. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of 100 or more, 50 off your print purchase of 200 or more, and 100 off your print purchase of 300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio, will join us in about 2 or 3 minutes. Coming up later this hour as well, your chance to win a pair of tickets. See Neil Young and Crazy Horse, April 25th at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. Also, Jeff Smith from the Mesa Foundation. He's the president of the collective around San Diego State men's and women's basketball. On this big offseason for the Aztecs that is now underway, how is the collective looking as we head towards transfer portal season? He will join us coming up at 5:30. Padres play tonight at 6:40, game 1 of a 3-game series against the Cardinals down at Petco Park on this really nice night for baseball. And Tommy Pham remains a free agent, and we'll talk to Mike Faren about that coming up in the next couple of minutes. But 3-game series, and then the Padres take to the road for the first time, well, since Korea, coming up this weekend in San Fran.
They got both games in this weekend.
I know. I was like, no chance in hell. I texted you. I was pouring Saturday morning. I'm like, they're not playing.
So what we learned here is that the Apple weather map actually is more accurate than whatever app.
I use like weather.com.
Weather
Nobody
app you were
knows.
using.
It turns out nobody knows.
My weather app on my phone said it was going to rain in the morning on Sunday and be fine in the afternoon around 4-ish. Guess what? Exactly what happened.
It was really nice in the afternoon yesterday.
And then it was going to rain in the morning on Sunday and be fine in the afternoon. Guess what? It was fine in the afternoon.
Well, then you should be the team meteorologist.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should do that as my second job. Or whatever. It's more money.
If this doesn't work out,
right,
which you could already say,
yes,
then you could become a team meteorologist.
Yes, perfect. I love that.
All right, so Mike Faren's going to join us momentarily. We'll have the wrap later this hour. And again, your chance to win those tickets. See Neil Young and Crazy Horse. You can listen, by the way, to the Final Four right here. Saturday, Final Four action right here on San Diego Sports 760. And, of course, the national championship game will be heard here as well a week from tonight on San Diego Sports 760. Is the coronation for UConn? Are we destined for UConn Purdue?
Yes.
You think it's UConn Purdue?
Yes.
Guarantee?
Yes. And I think UConn's going to
destroy Purdue.
Beat up on Purdue. I really do.
I feel the same way until like we see something else.
Like Alabama. Sorry, no. Nice, great story for them. First time in the Final Four
ever.
Same thing with NC State.
NC State, no chance.
No chance.
Yeah, I hate Duke, and like yesterday, or that was one of the few chances where I was just like, just for the betterment of the tournament, I think we'd be better off if Duke wins, because Duke would at least have a chance to possibly beat UConn. Well, they have a better chance in the Wolfpack. Yeah.
Well, okay, so NC State's playing Purdue. Listen, that kid on NC State's been a nice story, Burns.
Yeah, great story.
Big fella, but he ain't Zach Edey.
No.
And then, with all due respect to Zach Edey, I just don't know how you stop UConn's offense in general. It's not just Donovan Clingan; it's their offense.
It's
ridiculous.
Their sets are insane. You saw it firsthand.
They're running triple screen sets. Like what?
Zach Edey's a very, very good college basketball player.
He is.
There's a reason why he's the player of the year in college basketball. I just think that his skill set, like when you're playing up against a team that plays like an NBA team, they're going to exploit you very easily. And I think if you put Zach Edey in the pick and roll and you make him try to run around, and if you have Clingan, who's I mean,
He's a monster.
The monster. So you have somebody that goes up against Zach Edey who can go toe to toe. I mean, I know we're already putting UConn and Purdue in the national championship game, but I don't think any team's beating UConn.
All right, don't listen this weekend. San Diego Sports 760.
Actually do listen.
All right, Mike Faren is with us, MLB Network Radio. Let's get back to the first week of the regular season. Padres 3-3, offensively performing a lot better, at least in the early going, than they were a season ago. So we'll get to that with Mike, who does a great job on all things baseball for MLB Network Radio. We appreciate your time as always, Mike, in San Diego. I want to start with Tommy Pham. What is the holdup here in general? Why is Pham, in your estimation, still a free agent?
Because he hasn't gotten a contract that he feels is worth signing. I mean, I think there's, listen, as much as guys like playing, I think there are players that want to be shown the respect that they deserve for what their careers have been. And I think, Tommy Pham was coming off a really strong season overall and probably looking at making less money than he did a year ago. And he wouldn't be the first guy to back away from offers because he wasn't getting what he was worth. And so I'm sure that that's probably the case. I mean, I can't see, Pham's bounce back last year for what, $8 million was pretty much a steal, right? For the production that both the Mets and the Diamondbacks got for him. I think it's, as much as anything, it comes down to money. And, if you're in a financial position where you don't have to take a job and you can be like, hey, listen, I'm ready to go when you want to meet my terms, I wouldn't blame them for sitting around and waiting.
Mike, what was your reaction? Because we haven't talked to you since it happened, but what was your reaction when the Padres traded for Dylan Cease?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty. It was one of those things where it was like we had been talking about it as it started to ramp up with Texas, and as soon as we heard that the Padres were involved and the White Sox personnel was out seeing the Padres system, we felt like this was probably going to be a good fit. But their need was probably more pronounced than Texas's, even though Texas has a lot of uncertainty in their rotation. I thought it was a pretty good return that the White Sox got, all told, which you would expect for a guy who is Cease's quality and who has a couple of years left before he hits free agency. But I thought it made things a lot better for the Padres, right? I mean, they've been trying to replace a lot of these innings that they lost via free agency, and they've gone about it in ways by adding depth in the Soto deal. It's not fair to just call it depth because Michael King's pretty good. 7 walks the other day, notwithstanding. And being able to bring Cease in gives them a chance to have a pretty strong front four in their rotation. So I don't know. I think there's a lot to like about what the Padres did. And, again, this is A.J. Preller's confidence in his farm system and confidence and ability to use it to acquire star major league players, which he's done a really good job of. They have not gotten over the hump, but he's certainly not afraid to acquire them. And just as an aside, this was kind of interesting. I was in Padres camp this year for our spring training tour, and AJ, unprovoked, said he was really excited about this group of prospects they had. Now, this was probably 4 days before the Cease deal, so Drew Thorpe was kind of included in this bunch that he talked about at AA and lower. And, Ethan Salas gets a lot of the attention, and rightfully so. And they're very excited about Leo DeVries, who's the top international signing this year. And, a number of these players that are coming, but he's very, very bullish on the organizational depth that they have. And I think you've already seen some of that coming to the big league level with Jackson Merrill being entrusted with the center field job and Graham Pauley hitting a pinch homer the other night. Like, these are guys that they really feel like this is the first time I've heard him go out of his way to praise the farm system. It's a lot different than when Scott Boras was talking about the hot talent lava.
Yeah, that's a great point. Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio, is with us. Good segue, actually. I was going to ask you about Boras and Snell specifically. I mean, obviously, we know Blake ends up with the Giants. Did Boras and Snell make a miscalculation? I mean, did they have that larger Yankees offer, whatever it was, 5 or 6 for that 150 neighborhood, and then they pivot? They get a 30-ish AAV for 1 or 2 years here from the Giants. What happened in the market for Blake Snell?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think there was that big a one in the end. And listen, like for all of the talks of the Scott Boras got his comeuppance. I mean, Blake Snell has still the 6th, the 8th AAV ever for a starting pitcher. So, we should all be so lucky, right? To
Sure.
have
Yep.
fall upwards like that. I think, but Boris kind of addressed this. I don't know if you guys read Bill Shaken's Q&A with him in the LA Times this weekend, but it was really informative. And in it, he said that there were a lot of teams that were pretty public with him or about their questions about the performance of all of his free agents because all of them had been inconsistent, right? So Snell has had 2 great seasons. And he's been pretty good in the other ones. He just hasn't thrown a huge volume of innings. You could look at Bellinger, right, who had a ton of injury issues that really plagued him for 2 years. And then he had this bounce back last year where the data didn't really support the bounce back that he had. Matt Chapman has not hit consistently the last couple of years, and he is an incredibly valuable defender. And while teams value defense, they value it when they can get it cheaply, not when they have to pay for it, right? So, you start going down this list. Jordan Montgomery is a really good pitcher, and I thought it was a great signing for the Diamondbacks. But I never bought Jordan Montgomery. I may have said the same thing to you guys as a 9-figure pitcher because that's just not the kind of pitcher that he is. I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He's a really good pitcher, but I didn't view him as a guy that was going to get, 7 years at 25 plus or 20 some odd plus. So I think some of it was just that I think some of it is an assumption that we work with in the media that Boris is always going to get the highest number for his clients. And teams are smart enough to know which players they feel like they can invest in, which ones they can't. And the ability of these players is now that they can go and back up those good years that they had a season ago with another strong season. And if they do that, they're going to be able to opt out at the end of their deals, and their free agency is going to look a lot different this next year. It'll be similar to what happened with Carlos Correa, probably with the exception of having to go through 2 different failed physicals with teams, but that same kind of idea. So I think it's probably short-sighted to call it a complete failure, although it definitely does not fit, what we anticipated. That said, he did have Jung-Ho Lee too, and he got $115 million, right? Those players that were 25-year-olds who were professionals that signed free agent contracts is what still got paid, whether it was Lee or Yamamoto.
With the Mike, with the addition of like you said, Jung-Ho Lee, and you had Blake Snell in the NL West, and then Jordan Montgomery here, and Dylan Cease in the NL West now, and you have the Phillies and the Mets to an extent. They're still spending a lot of money. With the entirety of the National League, does it feel like this thing could go any way besides the Braves and the Dodgers, the top there? For the rest of the National League, it feels like this thing, there's a bunch of teams together that could make the postseason this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the teams in the Central is going to have to make it because that's the way the rules work, right? So, although I think Cincinnati is pretty interesting because I think their pitching is actually pretty deep. But, the Phillies are still really good. That's a really good team. And so they're probably, I think they're closer to the Dodgers than the Dodgers on the Braves. Really, I think. The Dodgers they spent a lot of money this winter, but they still have a significant amount of question marks based on injuries. Now, their lineup, as it's already shown us through the first 6 games that they played, is going to be really, really good. But, they have, I think they have some experienced questions, at least when it comes to their pitching depth. And they certainly have a number of guys that have had injuries. I think the Diamondbacks are really good. They're a way better team on paper than they were a season ago. Eduardo Rodriguez and Jordan Montgomery are now their 3rd and 4th best starters, and that's going to take Brandon Pfaadt, who was a postseason breakout star, and put him into a 5 spot. That's a legit rotation with a much deeper position player group. So those are kind of the 4 teams that you start with, and then it's the Padres, the Giants, the Mets. Maybe if it's like the Cubs and Reds potentially, or Cubs, Reds, and Brewers at the top of that division, it starts to get a little closer there. But I actually think that there's a little bit more separation there with a few of those teams. Those 4 that I mentioned, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Diamondbacks, I would be very surprised if all 4 of them did not make the playoffs. And one of those teams missed the postseason would be a shocker to me.
Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio, with us on Jon and Jim. So obviously you can't overreact to 6 games. That's what the Padres have played.
Do it, overreact.
But we're going to overreact. I'm kidding. What's interesting to me, Kevin Acee in the UT wrote something that fascinated me. A year ago, they didn't have a 4-run inning until their 28th game. They didn't have a 5-run inning until their 54th game. And I want to say right now, through yesterday, they've had 3 5-run innings and 3 4-run innings. I get it. It's early and they're 3-3, but what do you make of the improved Padres offense, at least seemingly from where they started last year?
I will quote the great baseball philosopher John Sterling, the voice of the Yankees, who would tell you, well, Susan, you just can't predict baseball.
So true.
I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Sound like Manny Machado. It's baseball,
it's
right?
Baseball. It's baseball.
I mean, it's just like that Padres team should have been way better last year, right? Like based on the number of they outscored their opponents by like 100 runs, and even though the offense wasn't as good as it probably could have been, they still led the league in ERA, right? They were a good team that just for whatever reason couldn't win close games. Whether that was the disconnect between the manager and the general manager was that, or it was just baseball happening. I would have been surprised if he hadn't run that whole group back and performed better. So I don't know that I want to put too much stock on the first 6 games of the season. And they still have really good players. They've got Fernando Tatis Jr. on opening day. They didn't have him until about the 28th game of the season last year, right? So, that's a big boost, right? They should have a healthier Xander Bogaerts than what they had through most of last season. Manny Machado, from talking to Manny in spring training, feels a lot better than he did at any point last year when he was dealing with the elbow issue. That had plagued him since 2020. Think about that. That guy was dealing with significant tennis elbow that was significant enough that it required surgery, and he still played every day for 3 years. Nobody should ever question Manny's toughness ever. That dude posts, right? So I just think that you're probably going to get better performances out of those guys. I don't know that they're quite as deep. I think Jake Cronenworth could certainly bounce back. I think you have a better version now of Ha-Seong Kim than you knew what you had going into last season. Luis Campusano is going to be pretty good offensively. So, could they be a better offense than a year ago? Yeah, they could. But I don't think their personnel is necessarily better overall. And it's 6 games. There's just not a whole lot we can glean from 6 games. Just remember, the Diamondbacks won 84 games. They lost the last 4 of the regular season. They were outscored by almost 20 runs on the season, and they went to the World Series by, in part, winning the first 5 games they played in the postseason. So, it's just one of those things that happens. So I'm not going to draw any conclusions based on what we've seen all week.
All right, so I heard World Series. No.
Sweep.
So based on that, Mike.
Sweep in the World Series. Yeah, that's what we got.
Mike, we always appreciate it. We're excited for the season to be back. We hope to do it again soon. Thanks for taking some time for San Diego.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, guys, I know we've been trying to connect for the last couple of weeks. I'm sorry my schedule's been crazy.
No, this is terrific.
I love coming out with you.
We enjoy it. Thank you. Mike Faren, MLB Network Radio, who is so good. I mean, he knows everything about every team, which is hard to do in a sport like Major League Baseball.
I didn't even when I asked him about the bunch of teams in the National League.
Who did you not mention?
No, I didn't. I mentioned everybody.
Okay,
but it was interesting to hear him say. I didn't even the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, the Dodgers, Braves.
He says they're separating.
They're separated
from the rest.
And I'm like,
and he'd be shocked if those 4 teams, all of them, didn't make the postseason.
So then it puts
2 spots
for
everyone else in the National League,
which would be
11 teams:
Giants, Padres,
Cubs, Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Well, one of the teams will make it. It's actually 1 spot because he didn't mention someone in the Central.
What if the last 2 spots are 82, 83 wins? I think you can see. I think you can envision the Cubs getting around 82 wins or 83 wins, or the Brewers.
True, but no,
Cardinals.
hear me out. If he's got Braves, Phillies in the East, Diamondbacks, Dodgers in the West, that's 4 of 6, right? But it's really 5 of 6
because
someone's winning the Central,
and there's only 1 spot because the Phillies and the Diamondbacks would
2
be
of those wild cards are taken up,
teams.
And someone has to win the Central. To his point, which leaves 1 spot for San Diego, San Francisco, someone else in the Central, someone else in the East.
Yeah, the Reds maybe.
Yeah, right. If they don't win
Mets,
the NL Central,
maybe. Even though the Mets are
it's interesting when
already in meltdown mode after 3 games
true.
of the season.
But when you put it that way, and again, funnier things have happened. I bet Mike would have told us, not to put words in his mouth. I bet he would have said heading into last year, if we asked him April 1st last year, he would have told us he'd be shocked if the Padres didn't make the postseason.
He would have replaced the Padres with the Diamondback. He would have said Braves, Dodgers, Padres.
See, he's
Phillies.
hot. Listen, I'm all for the positivity off a team that went to the World Series like Arizona that's added.
Yeah.
But the projection sites, which aren't always right, just like human beings, aren't higher on Arizona. There's no separation between Arizona and the rest of the NL West. As in, it's not like Arizona and LA. No, it's LA than everyone else.
I mean, they're a really good team.
I know, but don't you agree? Like when you look at these sites, it's saying Arizona's going to win 84 games.
I agree.
And San Diego's going to win 84
Like
games.
how, quote unquote, better are they than the Padres? I don't, or the Giants, or whatever that. Like, do I see the Diamondbacks winning 90 games this year? I mean, they have a good team. They have a good chance to do it. Their pitching is really good. Their lineup, young players, are really good.
See, I kind of like, I like it, but I also don't like this idea that it's April 1st and you're like, well, there's one spot available. Like, you're not going to win the division because you have the Dodgers, and you're not going to be the top wild card because there's the Phillies or the Braves. You're not going to be the second wild card because, like, we have to let it play out. Like, to this point, it's like it's 6 games. You can't draw conclusions. Are we already going to give the division again to the Dodgers? Like, at what point do you say the Dodgers have won the division? They start out 15-5 and say, I know he's catching them.
Yeah.
Or they're 40-30 and nobody's catching. Like, you got to let the thing play out.
Like, what do you make of the Pittsburgh Pirates,
Who are like 3-0 or something?
who are 5-0?
They're 5-0.
Nothing. Just like, what do I make of the A's 9-game winning streak last year? Nothing. I mean, the seasons are long for a reason, is what I make of it. So we'll see. And that's why, to his point, I agree with him. It's like, I'm not going to make anything of 6 Padres games.
Yeah.
Nor have we really.
This is the part of the season where you only worry about yourself.
Exactly.
You only worry about yourself. You don't even. I bet you ask anybody in that clubhouse after the first month of the year, they'll have no idea what any other team's doing.
Probably.
Other than maybe Jackson Merrill, who continuously wants to talk about like the Dodgers and everybody's like, you guys are talking about the Dodgers too much, and no one's talking about us, and I'm keeping receipts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, how about just worry about
Right.
just
It's
worry about
early.
ourselves.
Relax.
Guys.
Yeah.
Who cares right now? Just get on base. Have good at
Calm
bats.
down, Rock.
Yeah, calm down a little bit. It's okay.
Okay, here's what I want to do. We're going to get to the wrap on the other side, okay? In addition to that, this hour, this is a really good giveaway for me. I'm a Neil Young fan. We have Neil Young tickets, Neil Young and Crazy Horse, April 25th, Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. That is a really good giveaway. And we'll do that for Trainwreck Radio. That is this hour coming up in about 20 minutes. So be listening for your chance to win a pair of free tickets to see Neil Young, Crazy Horse, April 25th. Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. On the other side, we will get to the wrap. Jeff Smith from the Mesa Foundation as the Aztecs begin transfer portal season. He will join us at 5:30. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, the wrap on the other side. Plus, this hour in about 15 minutes, your chance to win tickets to see Neil Young right here in San Diego on April 25th. Don't go anywhere.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Cardinals start a 3-game series tonight at Petco Park. 6:40 first pitch at Petco. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres against Kyle Gibson of the Cardinals. And the Final Four in the men's bracket is all set. It'll be UConn looking to go back-to-back. Alabama, NC State, and Purdue. And Iowa in the women's bracket in the Elite Eight matchup versus LSU. Winner goes to the Final Four. That game's underway right now. Iowa's leading 17-14 with 5 minutes left in the first quarter there. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples.
About 10 or 15 minutes. This, some have said, is the most anticipated night of women's college basketball ever. Iowa and LSU, followed by SC and UConn. So you got stars on display. What's interesting with what you just said, real quick, because the update is 20-17 with 4:48 to play. They play quarters.
Yeah.
So they've only played 5 minutes and 12 seconds. It's 20-17. That's incredibly high scoring. You're looking at a game that could be played in the low 100s potentially tonight between Iowa and LSU. Some of the elite scores in the country on display.
Well, the college women's basketball game has never been more popular than it is right now. You got Angel Reese, you have Caitlin Clark, you have
is it Paige Beckers at UConn?
I think Paige Beckers, who is the
Juju Watkins
Juju
at
Watkins
SC, who
at
averages
SC.
nearly 30 points a game.
You have is that USC or SC?
At USC is
Yes.
Juju Watkins.
And then South Carolina is undefeated.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking. Oh, that's right. That's
And
right.
they're already in the Final Four.
That's right.
So it's like the amount of women like superstars,
visible
right now,
athletes.
Like I was talking to Aaron's dad today, who big sports guy, and even he was mentioning like, I can't wait to watch this LSU Iowa game tonight. It just shows that the women's game right now, and it won't like be like this forever. This is just like
This could be the start of a trend.
Well, there's not going to be another Caitlin Clark next year. She's gone.
Yeah, but
Angel
people would have
Reese.
told you there wasn't going to be like another LeBron James. And then there's another LeBron.
I know.
I mean, I don't know who the next.
I'm talking about this in this moment with these certain players.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that for a while, potentially.
I saw rating projections at over 8 million viewers for both of these games tonight, which would set all kinds of women's basketball records for outside of a Final Four. All right, Neil Young tickets. We'll give those away coming up in about 10 minutes or so during Trainwreck Radio. Right now, let's get to this.
Will Lamont Butler return for a 5th season on La Mesa?
Dude, it looked like when he got taken out of the game versus UConn, it didn't feel. I felt like that was it. It
With
felt,
Lamont?
yeah, hugging all the coaches. I just felt like it was it to me.
I don't.
Things
know.
could change.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be more surprised if it returns, honestly.
Man, it's so hard to know. And we'll talk to Jeff Smith, Mesa Foundation, about retaining this roster and adding to it via the portal, like what role name, image, and likeness is playing. I just don't have a great feel for it, to be honest. I can't imagine Lamont playing college basketball elsewhere, but obviously that's his right if an opportunity exists. And of course, he can pursue professional opportunities. But no matter what happens, he's etched in stone as one of the greats to ever play sports in the city of San Diego professionally or collegiately. An amazing 4 years with a couple of Sweet 16s, a national championship game appearance, and of course, the game against FAU. I have no feel for it. I'm sure we'll hear from him sooner rather than later. Next question.
Which Padre has been the most impressive to start the season?
I will go with Jake Cronenworth.
Okay.
I've talked about him all day long. He, to me, coming off of his year last year, has looked the most impressive to me. Just the way that the ball's coming off his bat, he's hitting some hard. He has some hard contact, like hitting in like the 112 mile per hour off the bat range.
Yeah, exactly.
And he has got a 5-game hitting streak to start the year out of the first 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
He's driving in runs. He's getting on base. He's having really good at bats. He looks like a completely different player so far in the first 6 games of the year. So I would choose Jake Cronenworth for me.
I'm going to go with Kyle Higashioka. Here's why. I'm kidding. I'm
4 strikeouts were really impressive.
He's got 4 Ks. I'll go with Luis Campusano because you get production from the catcher spot in baseball, and that's a huge win. And he's not just like a above average major league hitter. Potentially, he's like an elite hitter, especially as a catcher in the big leagues. Potentially, and again, it's been small sample sizes in his big league career. He homered yesterday, a 2-out home run in the first inning. They made a 5-0 game. I just like the way his approach. I like the way he plays. He's a feared hitter. You can see that right now. So I would go with Luis Campusano, who's gotten off to a great start, like Jake Cronenworth. Next question.
Can anybody beat UConn?
Here's my long-winded answer on this question here. Ready? No.
I say no. Next question.
They're just so good.
They're too good.
And you saw it firsthand. You're like, what
it's unbelievable.
The hell?
I mean, I thought San Diego State did an amazing job to hang around for 20 minutes. They had it at 4. There were 90 seconds left. They hit that 3 inside of like 40 seconds to go up by 9. Trammell had a 3 to answer that didn't go. He's been so good in those spots.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's 40-31 at the half. You're thinking, okay, they still can hang around in this game. But no, I mean, UConn, to their credit, and they do it methodically. They just lean on you continually for like 10 straight minutes. And all of a sudden you look up, it's a 23-point game. And it's amazing. And they do it every single game to whomever they're playing.
Anybody out there that is going to say that loss to UConn was embarrassing, again,
it's just UConn's historically good.
Stop. Like, you just don't. UConn is beating everybody like that. There's no embarrassing loss here if you lose to UConn, unless you lose like 100-0.
How many points did Illinois score? They were the number 1.
52. They scored the same as Aztecs.
They were the number 1 team in the nation at offensive efficiency coming in. They scored 52 points.
Yeah. So don't even come at me with, well, that loss to the UConn Huskies was embarrassing by the Aztecs. 30-point loss. That's bad for the conference.
Where's everyone, celebrating the win over Alabama last year? I mean, I guess they were celebrating it last year. And they made a Sweet 16. Yeah. They've only done it 4 times in school history. I'm talking about SDSU.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Did Jaden Ledee have the best season in Aztecs men's basketball history?
I would still have to say Michael Cage has had the best season in Aztec history, but Jaden is second.
Second to Michael Cage.
In my mind, I'd say Michael Cage is 1. I would say Jaden is 2. Jaden, I think maybe as his team's accomplished more that he was on, obviously getting to a national championship and back-to-back Sweet 16s.
True.
But Michael Cage is, what year was his 83 season?
It was like 83, 84, most points in school history until Ladie this year. They played fewer games, obviously.
But
Double machine.
He was, and Jaden was not a double machine, but he did impact a lot of games on the rebounding end. He's just, and it's not, there's no shame in saying that you had the second best season in the history of the program, which I think he did.
Here are my top 2 seasons, no order, and this is the easy way out for me. Top 2 seasons, no order.
Okay.
Malachi Flynn 2020, Jaden Ladie 2024. Now, Malachi could have played in a Final Four or not. We don't know. But they went 30-2. The guy was unbelievable and has turned into a really good pro in the NBA. He's had a very good career for the last 3 or 4 years. Malachi Flynn impacted the game in so many ways. And he was just such a brilliant offensive player, and I thought a darn good defender as well. I think he won Defensive Player of the Year, but said, I don't deserve this. Lamont Butler does. Do I remember that right? Or KJ Fagan does.
KJ Fagan.
He's like, yeah, they gave it to me, but it's KJ Fagan's. He got the tougher assignment than I did.
What?
Yeah, why did I get this?
I remember that, yeah.
But Malachi Flynn was amazing, and so was that team. They were 30-1 into the Mount West Championship game that they lost on a last-second 3 from a guy that's also in the NBA, and Sam Merrill.
John, it's not your fault.
I need to let it go.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's okay,
dude.
Just
pandemic.
It's okay. It's okay. They made it.
I hate pandemics. Is anyone pro-pandemic? I'm anti.
They made a Final Four. They made a national championship.
I know, but it could have been 2 and 4 years.
But at least they made one.
And that could have been 3 Sweet 16s in 5 years. Who do I call?
Call whoever.
NIH or whatever.
Call COVID. I don't know. Dude, what's their number?
All right. Jeff Smith, speaking of the Aztecs, president of the Mesa Foundation, what is the first order of business when it comes to the transfer portal and raising funds for the collective? Is San Diego State well situated heading into the offseason? Jeff Smith will join us coming up at 5:30. All right. If you want these Neil Young tickets, first 2 callers are going to be our contestants. You need to call now for your chance to win. We're going to play trivia. Here's the number, 877-767-4760. Call right now. We have 2 free tickets to see Neil Young and Crazy Horse April 25th at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater, Ticketmaster.com for tickets and info. Call right now if you want those 2 free tickets. First 2 callers will be our contestants. Neil Young, 877-767-4760. One more time. We're playing trivia. Here's the number to call, 877-767-4760. Call right now. Trainwreck Radio. That's next. All right, Trainwreck Radio on the other side. Jeff Smith, president of the Mesa Foundation, as we look ahead to next season for San Diego State men's basketball. Will join us at 5:30. All right, we have a lot going on over here.
We do.
I
Yeah, we
think
do.
there's a lot going on.
This Iowa LSU game is crazy.
The women's basketball Elite Eight. They're 10 minutes into a game. There's already been 63 combined points. That's absurd. I mean, you're seeing men's games that are like 28-23 at the half. This was 30-26 after a quarter. That's 1/4 of a game. This is going to be like a 110-105 showdown tonight between LSU and Iowa.
So it's going to be like a half of an NBA game.
Kind of. That is true because the NBA is out of control.
Yeah,
with scoring.
Halftime score NBA games now are like 130-120.
I know. We'll get back to the Padres and the Cardinals game, one of a 3-game series coming up tonight at 6:40 at Petco Park. Jeff Smith, Mesa Foundation. He will join us coming up at 5:30. We'll talk about the Aztecs men's basketball offseason and what's on the line. But right now, let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants. We have John and we have Dave. John, you called in first. So you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'll go with John.
Smart.
Yeah.
John and John.
John and John. So that means, Dave, you get me, okay? Oh, Dave, you there? Oh, Dave, can you hear
No,
me?
can you hear me?
He's there.
Yeah,
there.
okay, we got you.
Okay.
What are you
Dave,
doing, Dave?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I pulled over to the side of the road.
Okay. That's very
Smart.
responsible
Dave. Good job.
and smart. Dave, you get me. John, you get John. Brent, what's the question of the day?
All right, guys. Today's question. Can you name any of the top 10 players with the most points scored in Division I men's college basketball this season? Not points per game, but just total points for most points scored by Division I men's college basketball this season.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to turn these guys. Someone is like, I don't even know what
Are
you're
you like
doing.
climbing like
what are you
a
doing? On
mountain?
Mount Everest?
Like, what's going on? Okay, so Dave, you are up first. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
I definitely want to use the lifeline.
Okay. Zach Eady, do you take that?
Yeah,
What? Well, hold on.
Who is with a
What-
barking
what are
dog
you
on Mount
guys
Everest
doing?
on the moon?
that's not Dave.
That's your date?
No,
He said that's
Dave.
not Dave.
What is happening?
All right. So do we have it correct?
Yes.
Let's just play on.
Okay.
Okay. John, you're up.
John, you're up. What's your first guess? You have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
Jalen Ledee.
Jalen D.
Wow.
Ledie's not top 10?
Ledie's top 10.
So Ledie's on the
I
list.
missed it.
He's on the
I was gonna
list.
say, it's like the best scoring season in Aztec history. Okay.
Dave, you're up next. What's your second guess? You do have a life, or you do not have a lifeline, so it's all up to you. What do you got?
Tommy Bruner from Denver.
Oh, Tommy Bruner from Denver. Is Tommy Bruner from Denver the Pioneers on the list?
How many Googles did you have to do
Who's
for
that? Who's Tommy Bruner?
Tommy Bruner
Exactly.
is on the list.
Oh, the list. Let's go.
What are the odds that
What's the mascot for Denver?
John, you're up next. What is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
That guy on UConn, Cleon.
Donovan Klingon, top 10 scorer, that's not going to be on the list,
Klingon.
unfortunately. A very good player.
Klingon.
Is Klingon? No. He's good at everything, but he's not an elite scorer.
Yeah.
So now,
All right, Dave. Name a player that we all know.
The guy from Illinois, because you guys just talked about him. Terrence.
Terrence from Illinois.
full
Does
name?
Terrence have a last name?
I don't have the last name.
All right. That's not going to be on the list. That's the first name.
Yes, the first name, but
Yeah.
you need a last name.
Yeah.
John, you could send this thing to overtime here with the correct guess, and you do still have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Oh, he does?
Does he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yes. Yes, I'll take it.
All right. What's your lifeline, John?
I will. There's a couple of good ones out there. I actually saw one in person in LA yesterday between Alabama and Clemson because I'm a psycho. But I'm actually going to give you Tennessee's Dalton Connect, who is as good of a player as there was in the country that was not a center. Dalton Connect. Do you take that?
Yes.
Dalton
Yes.
Connect. Boom.
Boom on the list.
Okay. All-American first team, by the way. All right.
you
So
go.
we're tied up, right?
Tied up, going to overtime. Brent, give us the rules of overtime and the question.
All right, how overtime works is I'm going to ask you guys a question. When I am done asking the question, you're going to yell out the name of your partner today, either John or Jim, whoever you had. Don't yell out the answer. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you are either going to win the game by getting the question right, or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. Do you guys got it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, today's overtime question. Name a team in this year's Final Four.
Jim.
John.
I heard Jim.
What do you got, Dave?
UConn.
That is correct for the win. All right.
Boom.
So not only did he know Tommy Bruner, he
also
knew
knew
UConn
UConn.
was in the Final Four this
Let's
year.
go.
Wow.
Winner, winner.
Whew. That was intense. Not in the way we want it to be intense.
No,
that
it
was a
was-
complete
yeah.
train wreck. From
What was
the start.
happening? It was
I
like,
don't know.
it was like,
Yeah. It was awful.
jeez.
Who's on this list, Brent?
Zach Eady, the world famous Tommy Bruner,
Yep.
who plays for the Denver
I think it's Pioneers.
somethings.
I think it's Pioneers.
Well, that's okay because nobody else knows who he is except
Okay.
for Google. RJ Davis from Carolina, Dalton Connect from Tennessee, Mark Sears from Alabama, Jaden Ledee from San Diego State, Jalen Blackman from Stetson. I'm surprised nobody
Of course,
named
the
him. You know?
Hatters.
Who?
Everyone loves. Oh, come
Yeah.
on, Stetson and Denver. They're like
Oh,
the
yeah.
two most popular schools in college basketball. Other than, of course, Tyler Thomas from Hofstra. I'm surprised he didn't get named too. Terrence Shannon was the last name
Right.
that you were looking for, and then Tucker DeVries from Drake. I'm
All right.
surprised all three guesses weren't Denver, Hofstra,
And
Drake,
Drake.
and Stetton.
Stetson. All right, Dave, congratulations. You have won a pair of tickets to see Neil Young and Crazy Horse April 25th, Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. Ticketmaster.com for tickets and info. If you didn't win today, another chance tomorrow to win. All right, 5 o'clock hour. Jeff Smith is the president of the Mesa Foundation. They oversee an NIL collective around San Diego State men's and women's basketball. So we'll talk about the state of the Aztecs basketball programs heading into the offseason. Also, oh, by the way, Padres are still home They're taking on the Cardinals tonight, first of a 3-game series. We have a little bit of drama. Mike Schilt against his former team to kick off a 3-game series tonight down at Petco Park. We have Jim's back page still ahead as well. Hour 3 of Jon and Jim. That comes your way next. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres start a 3-game series with the Cardinals tonight at Petco Park, 6:40 first pitch there. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres against Kyle Gibson of the Cardinals. And the Final Four is set in the men's bracket. UConn, Alabama, Purdue, and NC State will all be in the Final Four this upcoming weekend in Arizona. Score update from this rematch of last year's women's national championship game between LSU and Iowa. It's 39-37 LSU with 3 minutes left in the first half there. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more. Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour, John and Jim. We're going to get back to the Padres at home tonight against the Cardinals, kicking off a 3-game series. Jeff Smith, Mesa Foundation, Mark Ziegler in the UT wrote about NIL. Does San Diego State have enough with their collective as we head into this offseason and the transfer portal? But Jim is going to make me do this, so I'm going to do it.
Do it.
We have a text line. We always invite you to text, and we can agree to disagree. There's a lot of opinions we disagree with on the text line, and there's opinions we agree with, and it is what it is. I mean, that's what Sports Talk Radio is. So this isn't personal, 858, and we appreciate the listenership, but
it's personal.
But let me punch some holes in your arguments on the text line. And feel free to call in, by the way, 877-767-4760. This all started hours ago, Jim.
Yes.
With all right, 858 said that was a very embarrassing loss. Stop sugarcoating it. We're talking about San Diego State, UConn. All right. Okay. So I wrote something back, and he said 30-point losses in the NCAA should never be spun in any way. Didn't they finish like 10-8 down the stretch? I then wrote back, no, they finished in the Sweet 16. And then he said, by beating a 12-13 seed like last year, let's keep it real, fellas. That's not where it ends. Let me start here, though. No team in the history of basketball should apologize for how they got somewhere in a tournament. I've never heard people talk about the 2014 UConn team, and this may not actually be accurate, that like went through like George Mason and a 13 and a 14 and an 8. No one is anyone talking about UConn last year in the national championship going through Connecticut, or excuse me, through Miami in the Final Four? Or no, they're not apologizing for who they beat to win a national championship, nor should San Diego State for getting to a Sweet 16, but it doesn't end there. 858.
Oh, baby.
Keep lowering expectations and talking about one random Final Four. What does that even mean? NC State hasn't been in the Final Four since 1983. Alabama's never been in the Final Four. No, 1980 with NC State. 83. 80 with Purdue.
And never with Alabama.
But it's one random Final Four. Bottom line, Aztecs faded down the stretch and were beat by 30 points. Ugly no matter how you spin it for your bosses. Aztecs are a good top 30 team that could go backwards under the current NIL construct. Not good.
So let me just say this, and then you can finish real quick. 858 number. I want to know, one, are you an Aztecs fan? And if you are, you're an idiot. Okay, John, continue.
I mean,
and even if you're not, you're an idiot, but still.
There's no such thing as a random Final Four. If the Final Four is random, then why isn't the 30-point loss to UConn the other night random? Where are you talking about the number one seed they beat a year ago in the tournament in Alabama and becoming the first team in the history of the Mountain West to get past the Sweet 16? They got to the Elite Eight, then the Final Four, then the National Championship. Does anyone have any concept of how hard it is to make a run? I just told you Purdue hasn't been in the Final Four in 44 years, and NC State hasn't been there since Jimmy V in 1983, and Alabama has never been there with their resources. And you want to... I was about to curse.
Oh, John.
I'm almost willing to. I mean, and you're going to try to diminish the last 2 years of San Diego State. Forget about the last 2 years. Try to diminish the last 25 years under Steve Fisher and Brian Dutcher. And I don't even care if they're making Sweet 16 runs. They went from nothing when they got here to the upper echelon of the sport, whether you like it or not. And I'm sorry if you don't.
Thanks for listening to 858. Your take on this is absolutely moronic. We shall now move on.
We can move on. All right. Jeff Smith will join us coming up at 5:30. I am cautiously optimistic about the state of the Padres in 2024 on the first day of April. I know they're 3-3.
April Fools.
Yeah, exactly.
You're trying to trick us.
I'm serious. I know they're 3-3. I know they've split series with the Dodgers and the Giants. So we'll see. I mean, there's 156 games to be played. But one thing that is real is they've hit with men in scoring position, and they've scored at a much better clip than they did to begin last year. Pitching hasn't been great, but I'm not worried about pitching. I'm worried about their offense, but their offense has actually come to play for the first 6 games. So that's where I start this 3-game series against the Cardinals. Can I change my tune? Yes. If they get shut out tonight, then don't listen tomorrow. But right now, I feel cautiously optimistic about the Padres offense.
Can I just say this, that April Fool's Day is one of the dumbest days
I agree
ever.
with that.
One of the dumb. It's fun when you're like 5 years old.
Very fun then.
If you are an adult, and some April Fool's Day jokes are like legitimate, like they could turn out to be funny. But I'm seeing a lot of stuff. It's just, it's
give
not,
me one example.
Not funny at all.
What's the worst thing? What have you seen that?
I saw something today along the lines of, like, Logan Paul and his prime drink.
Yeah.
He was like, come out with a new flavor of Prime, KFC flavor. And I'm like, okay, it's not funny. It's stupid.
Right.
I saw someone on Twitter today say, like, the Padres have signed Eric Hosmer to a new deal. I'm like, that's not funny.
Right.
It's
Ohtani's been suspended for 5 years for
really cringe, honestly.
A lot of it just depends on if you pay attention to what day it is.
Yeah.
If you don't, you didn't wake up going, oh yeah, it's April Fool's Day. You might look, oh, KFC's going to start serving pizza or something. They always do those things where like, oh, McDonald's is going to serve pizza. And then it's like, oh no, we're not going to do that. But if you didn't wake up going, oh yeah, it's April Fool's Day, you might go, oh, McDonald's is serving pizza.
If they said this in August, then it would be fine. But on April 1st, you don't believe anything. Like nothing. It's just so cringe.
What about this one?
Oh my gosh.
There was a college football game between FAU and University of South Florida called Battle of the Coasts.
It's not funny.
That was going to be played on an air. It was a football game on an aircraft.
But it's not funny. And the reason why you're laughing is it's so stupid.
The second and people retweet it like it's real, which is kind of ridiculous.
And like I said, I've seen these things all day today. I'm just like, guys, you're not funny. It's very, very cringe. But it's our fault. We're on. If you spend time on social media, you're going to run into this. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry.
Right? If we never opened Facebook today, we're not going to see it.
Right. We're not going to.
If we didn't go to Twitter, or whatever it's called.
But just all in all, April Fools.
For your
stuff
least favorite
for stuff like that nowadays, it is because if you're smart, you're never going to get fooled because you'll just be like, "What day is it? Oh, April 1st. Okay." Like if someone came in right now from my heart and is like, "Hey Jim, you're fired," I'd be like, "Really? Come on, it's April 1st." Now then they'd be like, "Oh no, I'm serious. No, you really are fired." I'm like, "Oh crap."
You know the Sid Finch story?
Yes, that was
Sports Illustrated.
But that was also before
top prospect, before
social
the internet.
media and internet, so you could pull something off like that.
That's like an amazing example. I don't even know all the particulars, but it was like this. He threw 120 miles per hour, and nobody's seen anything like it. And
left-hander, and like, what? And the Mets were like, "Are you serious?"
And Sports Illustrated published this in like 1985,
right?
And people went for it.
Yeah.
But from then to now, it's taken a serious downturn over the last 39 years.
And it's so sad because today I saw a NFL player passed away, very young.
Right, and then people are like, "Is it real?"
Vernon Davis's brother.
Right. I saw it. 35 years old.
35 years old. And I'm thinking the first thought that came to my mind
is it real?
Was this better be like, I don't say it's better be real because
you're saying you can't not be serious.
You better not
about
be joking.
It's life or death.
Because this would be a horrific, stupid. It's already horrific that he passed away that young, but to do those jokes on this type of day, it's just so stupid. So my rant about April Fool's Day being stupid is now over. Where were we with the Padres?
I just want to say this real quick. This women's basketball game, and I have no idea how this is going to compare to like the Alabama Clemson Elite Eight game or these men's games. Who even cares how it does compare? Truthfully, they each stand alone. This has a chance to be one of the most watched nights, though, in the history. I don't know if it's just like women's Elite Eight. It might just be Elite Eights in general. You have a 45-all game at the half between LSU and Iowa with two absolute stars. Caitlin Clark, arguably the most popular college basketball player, men's or women's, and Angel Reese is one of the most popular players in the country as well, men's or women's. You have a 45-all game at the half, the first of two games in the Elite Eight
How is
tonight.
this the first game? Why isn't the second game?
Good point. I think it's the first game.
It is the first game,
right? Yeah.
UConn plays USC later on tonight. This is like the marquee everything.
Well, that's why it's on first.
Maybe because it's in Albany, New York, and I don't know where that game is. Is that game out west, the game with USC? Do you know where that is, Brent?
I don't know. You're asking Brent?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, Brent, you know where the
Brent could give
Elite
two,
Eight
you know
matchups
what's.
are.
It's in an arena.
Anyway, I'll be honest. I haven't watched a ton of women's college hoops because just the job entails me watching a lot of San Diego State in general. But this has been good theater. This has been enjoyable. And like you said, people are talking about it that aren't, I don't think, typically just maybe college basketball fans or women's college basketball fans. I think it's transcended, is my point. And good for college basketball in general and women's college basketball.
Oh,
I mean, this is crazy. This is honestly like, this is really, really good television right now.
It really is. You know, these stupid arguments that are coming out of this whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah, they can't beat. They couldn't beat Ohio State men's team. Nobody's saying they could. Nobody cares.
I was listening, and I won't say what show it is. I was listening to a show, and they were trying to talk about how many points would Caitlin Clark average in the NBA? And I'm like,
right, nobody's asking.
I'm like,
that.
literally,
It's been brought up on the internet before.
Right.
Zero people that are like have a brain are talking about
It's
that.
like Dan Hurley shooting down hey, we'd make the playoffs if we were in the NBA. He's like, no, we wouldn't.
Yeah,
and I don't want to have that
people on the
conversation.
internet that think she's too good to go to play in the WNBA, that she's
No.
good enough she can play in the NBA.
So stupid. You weren't here for that day. Speaking of the UConn making the playoffs in the NBA, there was actually a betting line that was put up.
Okay.
Did you hear about this?
No, what was the line?
If they played the Atlanta Hawks,
Okay.
who are the 10 seed
In the East. 48 minutes. What can I guess? I have no clue. I haven't.
Now I forget the actual number, but I know about the number. The number was.
Okay, I'll throw a number out because I'm guessing it's not like a 50-point number. I'll throw out 20.5.
It was in the high 30s.
Okay.
And if they played the Celtics, it was like in the 60s.
It was like 58 if they played the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, listen, 48 minutes with the NBA line and 24-second shot clock, a lot of possessions, a lot of time for separation.
I mean, you think anyone's on UConn's garden, Jaylen Brown or
no, but this
Jason Tatum?
proves the point. It's not fair whether it's men's or women's. When you start saying, oh, well, Caitlin Clark wouldn't start on Ohio State's men's team. Nobody's asking her to. We're just saying she's the elite women's college basketball player. What's wrong with that?
Like, can we just talk about her and what she's going to accomplish in the women's game and what she'll do in the future instead of like, dude, how many points would she average?
And I don't care.
The
And
NBA
Steph
players?
Curry's Davidson team wasn't beating the Warriors. That's fine. And now Steph Curry's great in the NBA.
I don't know about that, Joe.
You know my. I mean, it's
kidding.
like everyone wants to do. Or the again, we've talked about this before. The Padres prospects are better than how many major league lineups? None.
Yeah, Ben Fadden.
None. And I think he was being facetious. And I'm talking to him on Talking Friars later this week. We might get into it.
I don't know.
But like, and again, you know what that speaks to? That speaks to the like hot take PTI type show. It's not PTI. PTI is not very hot take. What has spurned from PTI, the talking head 24-hour-a-day sports talk show. Like, I think it's less about talk radio and more about like sports talk television.
PTI to me, I don't watch it much anymore because it's on at a time that I think we're on the air.
I used to love it.
I used to love it too. That is one of the only like honest.
Yeah, it wasn't hot takey. It was
like
funny.
Sports, I guess, semi-debatey shows.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even really debatey. It was like,
more like entertainment.
here's a
fun.
topic, and we're going to talk about this topic. We're not going to debate, is this the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life? Or could Caitlin Clark play
Beat Steph Curry?
Steph Curry? Like, they're literally just saying Caitlin Clark, like Iowa wins the national championship. Like, and they just talk about it.
Right.
You don't get that anymore with these talking head shows on ESPN or FS1.
But then people talk about it like me and you because it's so hard to stay away from. When I see someone say, "Oh, Caitlin Clark wouldn't score 2 points in an NBA game," then all of a sudden, I'm like, we need to talk about
but
this.
we're not talking about it.
Right.
If we were talking about it, we would be debating like, could she?
True.
We aren't. We're saying it's the dumbest thing to be talking about. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about what they're talking about. The whatever the topic.
Right.
The topic is stupid and it's ridiculous. And if you do it, then
well, where do you land on this? Here's one. Where
it got brought up again with the big three too, because I guess big three is guys and girls play at the same team, so she could have.
Fine.
Well, that'd be fine then.
Yeah.
But okay, where do you land on this then? The conversation's about like 96 Bulls against 19 I don't even know if the 19 Warriors were the best team. What was the team that went 73-9?
18 Warriors.
Okay, so like, where do you land in the who would win? 18 Warriors, 96 Bulls. I'm actually more a proponent of that.
It's more
it's
fun.
elite against elite.
It's more fun to talk
and
about.
It's like generation against generation.
You'll never know.
Exactly.
But it's more fun to talk about than stupid arguments that just are what they are. They're stupid.
Just Jim's back page is still ahead. Where we were was where the Padres are. And I'm going to stick by this point as well. I could be proven wrong over the next 156 games. I'm going to bank on this. The reason the Padres are going to be better off at the end of the year than they were last year, this might not be the only reason, but this is a reason, is their 10-day trip to Asia. I really believe that the embarking on a foreign tour, so to speak, after having the clubhouse issues and coming home for a celebration of life as well, putting things maybe in perspective for the team, plus the sheer embarrassment of everything that went wrong. You bottle it up, put it all together. I think it has value for the team. I don't know the value, but I do think it has value for the team.
When I went to Petco Park on Friday, and I was just talking to people around the team, and they kind of had the same sentiment as you. The feeling feels different around here. It feels like everybody's pulling on that same rope.
Mm-hmm.
The vibe's different, and you just feel something different to start out.
Exactly.
Everything could change
tonight.
Exactly. Everybody could get hurt, or they could end up sucking and whatever, right? But as of right now, just to start, it has felt much different than last year. They're 3-3. Is that the best record ever for the first 6 games of the year? No, it's not. But you see improvements for this team where last year's team was severely lacking. And that starts with the offense. It starts with runners in scoring position, in which they're doing a fantastic job of right now. We will see how it progresses over the course of the year, but so far, so good. There are still big-time concerns, and the big-time concerns is with their lineup and their depth and their bench, you can't lose anybody. You can't have anybody go down because of injury. Because if that happens, and that's the case with a lot of teams, I understand that. It's like, oh, if the Phillies lost Bryce Harper or whatever, no one's replacing those guys. I get that. But this is a big thing with this team. When you give guys days off, when you have guys out of the lineup, and you put your bench in there, this lineup overall is not as good at all.
I would say this too. Sometimes, it's like better to be lucky than good. And like you start your season with 7 games against the Giants, right? And they just signed the Cy Young Award winner, your former pitcher, Blake Snell, and you won't face him for any of the 7 games. The Giants just announced he will start Monday, which is after the Padres-Giants meet in Northern California this weekend, Friday through Sunday. So you've already played the Giants 7 of 12 or 13 games. You might only face Blake Snell 1 time all season. He won the Cy Young. He's in your division. He was on your team. Now, I don't know how we would pitch against the Padres, but again, it's like, okay, now you're facing the Giants when they don't have Blake Snell, and we'll just see what it all means. But it does feel like, again, that's maybe a break they wouldn't have gotten a year ago. It's like, oh, they ran into Snell actually like 3 times somehow in the first 2 series.
Do you think the Giants are probably sitting there like, hey, Blake, what the hell, man?
No, I don't think so. They signed him super late.
True.
So this is part of it. I mean, and they gave him a lot, like Mike Faren said, but the truth is they didn't give him that much in today's game. It's not that risky. It's $30 million a year, which for elite pitching is the going rate.
You're not giving him 180 for 5 years. You're giving him 30 for 1.
Exactly. Now, if it doesn't work out, they'll have him for a second year. But if it does work out, he's gone after 1 year potentially.
Yeah, it sets up like, hey, if he has an okay year, he's not going to free agency.
Right. He'll come back.
Yeah, he'll
The
come
second
back,
year.
and that'd be a good thing for the Giants. If he has a great year, it's a good thing for the Giants and a good thing for Blake Snell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um,
But again, it's like you miss him twice. I don't think. I mean, the truth is, I understand the concerns with Blake Snell. I mean, you agree with me. He's not replicating. I'm sorry. He was just a Cy Young Award winner. I'd be shocked if he was anything close. I mean, I think he'll be good.
Mhm.
I thought Blake Snell was amazing last year. He's still only 30 years of age. He can absolutely impact this division and negatively impact the Padres. There's no question about that. But I mean, come on. And maybe I'll be proven wrong. But if it's anything like last year, that would be really surprising to me. For Snell.
Got to win 2 or 3 here.
Have to. No, I mean, honestly, no, you don't. I'm gonna go back to the if you're scoring and your lineup looks good and
But didn't you say they have to win 4 out of 3?
no,
Or 4 out
you
of 7,
did.
excuse me?
No, I didn't. I definitely don't feel that way. They do not. Of course not. They could be 4 and 5 or 5 and 4, and no, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
You disagree?
No,
I didn't say
it's
they
not
had
the
to. I
end of
said it
the
would be.
world if you lose 2 or 3 here, but I will stand by this. And my point to start this year is that they have to start out well. They have to start out this season good. If you lose 2 or 3 here, then you're just like, okay, can we have like a better start here? We can't
Right.
have the end of the first month and you're like either a game or 200, 500, I feel like.
It's hard. I would say this. I'm less concerned about the early record than I am about the early indicators. Hitting with men in scoring position,
Yeah.
vibes. I
Vibes.
mean, but batting averages, exit velocities of guys like Jake Cronenworth and Luis Campusano. What players are saying about Mike Schill. I mean, just what we're seeing and hearing and witnessing. If they're losing every night 7-1, yeah, we got a problem.
True.
If they're losing every night 10-8 and they're a game or two under 500, I'll be like, they're going to figure out their pitching. That's what I would say. in that scenario.
Hopefully. It's like a hopeful
But
thing.
if they lose tonight, I think the season is over. Yes, I agree with that.
Correct. Yeah, they shred everybody, and why even bother watching any more baseball games?
Jeff Smith is the president of the Mesa Foundation. Mark Ziegler writing in the UT today. San Diego State basketball's name, image, and likeness collective has more money, but is it enough? We will ask that question to Jeff Smith on the other side. Plus, Jim's back page is still ahead. We're with you until 6. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, so imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt free. No credit cards, no car loan, no personal loan. Hey guys, it's Schaefer. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly with Loan Pronto's AI-based system. You can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home, and you can use that money to pay off all your other loans. Listen to this. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. That is a ton of money. Your home value is way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards, get the money for home improvement. Literally, hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. Here's the number to call. You can call right now, 619 207 4336. That's 619 207 4336 or loanpronto.com. One more time, 619 207 4336. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres and Cardinals start a 3-game series tonight at Petco Park. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres against Kyle Gibson for the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Final Four in the men's bracket is all set. We have UConn taking on Alabama and then Purdue taking on NC State. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. Offer ends 4/6. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples.
All right, let's talk some Aztecs. I know the men's basketball season is over. Another trip to a Sweet 16, but we're already looking ahead as well to 2024-25. It is great to catch up with Jeff Smith. He is the president of the Mesa Foundation, which, of course, is critically important to the future of San Diego State men's and women's basketball via the NIL Collective. So, Jeff, there's a lot to get into. Let's just start, though, with the season. I mean, another Sweet 16 trip for the Aztecs, back-to-back, for the first time in school history. How special has this recent run been from your shoes these last 2 years?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Thanks, as always, guys, for having me on. It's so hard when you're in the middle of it to really grasp that context. When you hear some of these programs that have been in the Sweet 16 and the time that's elapsed before, between when they've been in the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight or the Final Four, you really understand how difficult it is. And I mean, to go from the championship game to the Sweet 16 and drawn, unfortunately, UConn twice, it's amazing. And I know that San Diego Aztec fans are growing to expect it. I hope that most of them understand how incredibly difficult it is. Was that our fourth time in the Sweet 16 in the last, 20 some odd years? That's an amazing number of trips to that level. And we're lucky.
We are at the 1-year anniversary of Lamont hitting that shot in the Final Four versus FAU. Since that moment, how has the last year been for San Diego State, in the NIL and in the Mesa Foundation?
A lot of good stuff. We certainly, with time and with effort and repetition, through vehicles like the both of you and others, San Diego loves the Aztecs. NIL is becoming a more widely recognized and folks are more willing to agree with the fact that it's not going anywhere, I think, for the most part. That said, it's still a challenge. We've grown to a point where, year 2, which was this last season, was twice as big, both in terms of the number of members and our total revenue and what we were able to compensate the student athletes for their participation in the different things that we have them part of, the charity events, the business functions, all the different things that Mesa acts as a conduit for. We're going to be twice as big of that going into next season. Our fiscal year ends at the end of June. We look at July 1st as, kind of the measuring stick of what we're able to agree to when we're having conversations with the existing players, and really relevant conversation right now, the future players, the transfer portal targets, and it's going good. But I mean, when you look at the overall numbers of people that go to the games and the number of people that are inside one of these watch party locations and the tens of thousands of people that follow San Diego State basketball, we've got a little over 500 members. And even though the dollar figures show a lot of success, and the businesses like Nova Kombucha and Blenders and Woodstocks and others that are starting to join speak to a lot of success, I look at 500 people and I think people still aren't listening, and that concerns me because competitively the market's moving in a crazy fast way.
All right, so Jeff Smith, president of the Mesa Foundation, with us right now. If you want to support, as Jeff said, I mean, it is flat out critically important, whether it's San Diego State. It's just the collegiate landscape and the importance of name, image, and likeness in these collectives. You can go to MesaFoundationSD.org, where memberships start at just $20 a month. Again, MesaFoundationSD.org. Jeff, if you take us kind of behind the curtain here as we begin a transfer portal cycle and you're thinking about who stays, who goes, who's added via the portal, is this about, what's more important? Is this about retaining players? Is this about adding players, or is it equally important, all those things combined?
Yeah, no, it's both. I mean, I feel like there's so many different profiles of players on the team, but when they get here, they love being here. We've said continually that what we're trying to do with Mesa, Mesa is the singular conduit for NIL support for men's and women's basketball. We are the collective that serves the basketball team. There's others that focus on some of the other sports at San Diego State, but we're it for hoops. And I think that it's impossible. People want to be here. We want to make sure that the reason why they don't come here has nothing to do with NIL. That maybe there's other reasons, but when they're here, they want to be here for all the obvious reasons. They get to live in San Diego. They get to play for this team with this fan base. They get to experience the success that you touched on. I mean, how many places on the West Coast, you want to stay in the western part of the country, are you going to go to where you're a perennial conference championship competitor, a favorite most often, and you're oftentimes vying to get a couple games, if not deeper, into the NCAA tournament. That's unique. But there is so many times that I read or hear people talking about, well, let's just go get somebody in the transfer portal, or we need this guy, we need that guy, and those hope references and kind of assuming that things are going to work out. That's just not. It absolutely is not reality. And this NIL criteria, as we had players last year after that run to the championship game that wanted to come here, but we weren't even remotely able to talk about the dollar figures that were being suggested. And credit to Dutch and the guys, they don't want to have conversations with players to start the discussions with, here's my NIL requirement. And I love that, right? That means we're going to continue to have the kind of student athlete that wants to be here, that's going to go grind it out, that's buying into the system. But that said, it has grown to be an undeniably prevalent, always involved part of the conversation. And what we have now, although we've grown it, it just isn't where it needs to be. And I just go back to the fact that, this success that you referred to, that we're all so lucky to enjoy, that we've all grown so used to kind of experiencing, even though 16 and the championship game certainly is unique. I mean, really, Aztec basketball is always good, and it's because of the things that we talked about, the coaches and the culture, the environment and the location, all those things. But it is going to change, and it's going to change pretty quickly if we can't get 500 up to 2,000. And those $20 references, you're talking about a meal, or for those that like to go have a beer and watch a game, a couple of beers a month. I mean, these are very, very small dollar amounts that when we multiply times the number of people that we should be able to multiply, people listening to your show. I mean, take the step and go. You're going to see some stuff coming out from the coaching staff that talks about the importance of this. It is so important. And the only way it's going to be successful is if fans decide to step up with a little bit. It isn't about $100,000 donations or $500,000 donations. That's not us. It's about getting everybody at these watch parties to decide, man, I really wouldn't have mind watching another week. And I can't guarantee it, but I sure can guarantee it's going to go the other direction if I don't decide to take that $20 and a meal a month, or however you want to, rob Peter to pay Paul, and help out the program. You don't do that, things aren't going to continue down that trajectory.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, because you said, it's not where you would like it to be or where it needs to be right now. Is it as simple for everyone listening that's an Aztec fan out there? Is it as simple as, just more people signing up to be a part of the Mesa Foundation, or do you need more than that to get to where you guys want to be?
I mean, I would say that the answer is yes. It's that simple. We're focused on businesses, and yes, I think that if business owners are out there, whether you're in the customer service, restaurant business or hospitality business or whatever you're in, if they had a chance to speak to Novo and Woodstocks and Blenders and the others, and they understood that the impact of connecting to these student athletes through Mesa, through NIL, what that means to, projects like the 12 that Blenders went through and they sold out in 24 hours. What that means for people that show up to the establishments to support them through watch parties and buying a kombucha or buying a pizza at Woodstocks. Like, there's no doubt that there's an amazing opportunity to work with Mesa and impact NIL for businesses. But for those that don't own businesses, are just driving home or just fans, it is as simple as just going to that website and joining and deciding to carve out $20 a month. And guess what you get? You honestly, again, you guys have been at these things. You absolutely get insight and access to the coaches and the players like you don't have right now. And nobody who's decided to be a part of what we've put together and these opportunities for folks to decide to really step up and help, nobody regrets doing it because it's different. It's a family, and it's a small circle that's growing and growing and growing, and that's our strength. Like I said, we're gonna be okay because people will start to listen and they will understand, but they got to do it right now. That transfer portal at the end of this month, right? And we are laser focused on making sure people understand that the alarm has been sound, and we got to get them to step up and make an active decision. Tell their buddy, tell a neighbor, tell everybody. $20 a month, you get to make sure that we're doing our part so that we can continue to watch this team do these amazing things.
Jeff, we have 60 seconds, but I want to ask you about this potential NIL tournament that was referenced in Mark Ziegler's article that you're quoted in today in the UT. And I know that's not something that Mesa or San Diego State is quote unquote banking on right now, but what potential impact does something like that have on a program? Like, if this tournament comes to be, what is the impact for student athletes, and what could that mean?
It's a function. It speaks to the credibility that San Diego State has as a program, right? The fact that we're being included potentially in this year one version, which seems like it's going to be somewhere around 8 teams. We've been working on it for a little bit. It's not done.
Okay.
And we absolutely cannot count it towards next season. But in the event that it comes to pass, it'll be an incredible impact. But what I would say is, with the target continuing to move, guys, we if you had asked me a year ago if we had the kind of revenue that we have right now going into this offseason, I would say, oh, wow, we're going to be all right. But now I know that we're just a little bit short, that we got to grow it. So, yeah, I think it's exciting. Yeah, it speaks to the success of the program. Yeah, it's going to change things for student athletes that look at, our NIL and our exposure nationally, NIL, because of the tournament. But it isn't here. And until it's here, we got this other hole and this issue. And as I said before, I really can't stand reading all of the articles and the comments and the messages on people hoping that we need this guy, we need this position, we need that. Well, hope is absolutely not a strategy. It just isn't. And without the people that can step up and make these differences, the businesses and the individuals that are fans, we're just not going to make the splash that we need to make. And so it's easy. We've tried to make it easy. We've tried to make it incredibly interactive and enjoyable. And we think we've done that. So, we're trying to be direct as possible at this point. And that message is, we need it, and we need it now. And in the absence of more people being a part of this thing, we're going to watch not only teams across the country be very challenging for us to get past in the tournament, but people in our own conference. That's just a fact.
All right. You heard it from Jeff Smith. He's the president of the Mesa Foundation. If you want to support as we head into a critical offseason, Mesa Foundation SD.org. Mesa Foundation SD.org. Jeff, thank you as always. We'll do it again soon. All right.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Thank you.
All right. Jim's back page next. Jim's back page is next. All right, join us tonight. YouTube. We'll have a wrap-up show for you. Padres Cardinals game 1 of a 3-game series. Search for what do you search for? Padres wrap-up show.
We've only been doing it for 4 years.
Search for us.
Or 5
Find
years,
us.
whatever.
We'll be on.
He's been gone a while.
I have. We'll be
Sure.
on tonight. Find us. Search for the wrap-up show. Padres wrap-up show on YouTube. Right now, let's get to this.
The 2000 NBA Finals ring that was given to Kobe Bryant.
When you say given to him, do you mean that he won?
Like, yeah, when they won the championship,
Okay.
like that's the ring
Yeah.
that was given to him.
Okay. Yeah.
Kobe's 2000 finals ring.
That's available?
It was auctioned.
How is that at auction?
I don't know.
Is that odd?
Because Kobe gave it to somebody.
Interesting.
Guess how much it sold for?
Millions.
Okay.
1.95 million.
Okay. Brent?
2 million, because there's probably $1 million worth of diamonds on it with these rings these days.
972,000, breaking the previous record of Bill Russell's 1957 ring that sold for $705,000.
So $1 million, essentially.
Essentially,
For
$1 million,
2000
yeah.
Lakers championship ring,
Yeah.
which is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Oh, okay. Here it is. It's Kobe's title ring from the 2000 NBA Finals, which he gave to his father. So his
Oh.
father put it up for auction. So
Wow.
Kobe gave the ring to his dad.
Wow. Okay.
Just
Interesting.
Jelly Bean was
Yeah,
his name.
Joe Jellybean. Yep.
You like Dairy Queen, right?
I love Dairy Queen.
Wizards.
Love.
Well,
Is there one in the Mission Valley Mall?
I think
Yeah,
so.
there is.
Brent, that's like burying the lead for 7 years. I thought you told me it was like 30 miles away.
Oh, because I thought it was. They must have just put it in there. They just didn't advertise it. But
Well, this is kind of a
somewhere,
developing story.
It's somewhere in
Yeah.
the Mission Valley Mall. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, last week they announced they are bringing back more than 170 Blizzard flavors. Say that 10 times fast.
170?
From past years through the new DQ Freezer website. They're also going to let fans take advantage. They are promoting a buy one, get one free deal on the DQ app. This deal will be available from April 1st to April 14th, starting today.
I'm downloading the DQ app right now. So if it's in the Mission Valley Mall, we're going.
The menu will include their new peanut butter cookie dough party, the peach cobbler and ultimate cookie, along with the return of the frosted animal cookie, brownie batter, and cotton candy.
What else do you have real quick?
That was
it.
I
Well,
knew
they
we had-
included Dairy Queen.
I knew we
so
didn't have
fine.
much time. So
So DQ has an app,
Everything.
everything has an app, John.
and you download it.
Yes, John, you download it.
There's 100,000 likes on this app, and it's got a 5-star review.
Yeah. The deal can be applied to any size blizzard to get a free one of equal or lesser value. DK.
Look at the team now. No show tomorrow will be at Dairy Queen. We're going to do a show from Dairy Queen. You should. Okay, if you missed anything today, we're back. SportsSD.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. Find us on social media at Jon and Jim. That's JONANDJIM. We are back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Until then, for Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it right here at San Diego Sports 760. Okay. This app. Very nice.